Hello and welcome to Just a Moment. My name is Kristen Harding. Welcome to the show. I have no guests today, so I thought even though it's our election day, you probably are a little tired of all the election stuff going on. So I thought I'd continue Bringers of the Dawn. And again, that is by Barbara Marciniak. It's called Bringers of the Dawn. And we are on part 3 already, believe it or not. And I am really, really trying to get guests, but amazingly, they have lives and stuff happens. So I try to really be understanding of that and encourage anyone that would like to be on my show that to contact me, please, because I know that there are so many people out there with stories to tell, and I just want to give you a place where you can tell them. So again, we're going to do Bringers of the Dawn, and I am going to apologize in advance for any possible awkwardness because I'm holding my phone and camera in one hand and reading a book in the other. Hello, dear Katie. Katie Schultz says hi. So, where were we? Next chapter is chapter 5, and it's called Who Carries the Cord of Light? And so here we go. You hold the history of the universe within your physical body. What is occurring upon the planet now is the literal mutation of your physical body, for you are allowing it to be evolved to a point where it will be a computer that can house this information. This is going to occur due to biogenetic engineering that really has nothing to do with you. You can facilitate the process, of course, by intending cooperation with it. As a species, you are being biogenetically altered by the beings who created you and who redesign your DNA at periodic junctures in your history. This time period was designed by the original creator gods or project designers for them to come back and take over this place and return it to its original plan. Millions have been called to participate in this project. Millions have said yes. Yes, we are renegades. Let us go and take back this project and see if we can set it right. We will rebuild the ruins and put it together. So the plans have been drawn and the designs made and the genetics studied to find out who carries the recessive genes and the cord of light inside of them. You have selected with great clarity the parentage that genealogically provides you with the fullest accessibility to combinations of light-encoded filaments that could potentially evolve. Before you came into the body, all of you committed to designing events that would fire your codings or blueprints, that would activate your memories. Then you came into the body and you forgot. All of you had had your blueprints and codings fired to some extent because you understand that there is a divine purpose or a divine plan that you are part of. The firing of the codings and the realization of your identity are going to become phenomenally intense. The reason for this is evolving DNA. When you have 12 helixes of DNA in place, those helixes will begin to plug into the 12 chakra system. The 12 chakras are vortex centers loaded with information that you must be able to translate. You are evolving yourself even when you are not on the planet, and you are perhaps more involved with other identities of yourself. Therefore, to evolve, you pick particularly challenging situations in which you have to rise beyond what has been established as a ceiling or a boundary of what is possible. You have become super beings in whatever reality you enter, because as members of Family of Light, the branch of renegades, this is your forte. You purposely came to this planet to give yourself such a challenge so that you could be defiant, not in a way that would give you problems or create disharmony, but in a way that would create harmonic defiance. Through your harmony, you are defiant toward the old vibrational frequency. Part of the friction that you feel with others is that you are on this path of evolution and bursting forth. Others don't like this because they are not coded at this time to respond the way you are. Some people are not coded at all for this. Some knew the plan of change and came here at this time to be observers. Some timid beings came here knowing that if they had the courage to step onto this planet while realizing what the blueprint of the planet was, that somehow this would be an accreditation of their own conscious journey and would catapult them into higher consciousness, even if their only participation in the transition was simply just to be here. Hi, Peggy. Just to be in the vicinity of this kind of activity is empowering, so give due credit to all who are on the planet at this time, who have decided to be participants in this great frequency change. All of these participants are necessary because the more frequencies that are on the planet, the more energy can build into and alter the old frequency. Those who have opened themselves to light are literally having their bodies rearranged. Sometimes you may wake up at night and literally feel the rearrangement. This rearrangement of the body is the restructuring of DNA. Your DNA is a filament. A scientist would describe it as connective filament. Scientists, doing the best that they can up to this point, have found certain coatings within certain portions of the DNA. They have also found superfluous portions of the DNA. In other words, there are portions that they cannot translate or figure out, so they think that these portions of the DNA are just there for the ride, and they call them junk DNA. They are off track. We have talked about how all of you were built by the Creator Gods. You were built like houses that were going to be expanded or added on to in the future. You are now at the juncture when those who designed you are adding on to who you are. What the scientists call junk DNA has been dormant in your body for a long time, and it's now becoming activated. In our teachings, we always emphasize the importance of oxygenation because oxygen feeds the coding and awakens the junk DNA in your body, which certainly isn't junk at all. What scientists are calling junk houses, scientists are calling junk houses the perceptions deep inside of your body that will allow you to become an entire perceiver, a fourth dimensional being. This awakening DNA will allow you to change your eyesight, change your hearing, increase your lifespan, and so on. This dormant part of the DNA that has baffled the scientists is now coming to life. You are mutating so quickly now that scientists call the process a disease. Some are very concerned about it. They have persuaded the government to invest billions of dollars to research DNA. What is occurring in your body is certainly not a disease. You are not being naturally mutated and rearranged. This mutation occurs most often when you are sleeping. So you may be waking up in the mornings noticing that something feels a little different in your body. You can expect that the changes will begin to show themselves and that you will develop new abilities. You will automatically know many things. The original designers of the human body were benevolent beings. These original creator gods were very generous in endowing you biogenetically with tremendous vitality of spirit and tremendous zest of capability. Much of this information is stored within your body in the light encoded filaments that are scattered and are coming back into alignment. Your bones and skeletal form correspond with that information. When your skeletal form is in alignment, the energy from sacred power sites is released. The cosmic rays are pulled into your body, and light encoded filaments inside your cells begin to reorder themselves. You will find that you are in the change. The change will be mirrored to you everywhere you look. The present evolutionary system designed by the creator gods to step up a number of dimensions or frequencies is based upon the evolution of the 12 helixes that correspond to the 12 chakra centers, 7 within your body and 5 outside your body. This is simply the way the system plugs in. With respect to the evolution of the helixes within the human body, a common denominator frequency must be attained that even those in the lowest possible stations can reach. There are also those humans who could go beyond the 12 helixes. In general, however, the state of consciousness of humanity cannot achieve that kind of acceleration. It is enough of a leap for people to go from a double helix system to a 12 helix system. Some people will be functioning with the 12 helixes within a short period of time, while others around the planet will not receive this shift until later in the decade. This is simply because each individual is coded to be given the frequency when they are capable of integrating it. Yep. Uh, Many are already having a difficult time integrating the changes at this early stage of the plan. A large majority of the humans on Earth have convinced themselves that there is only one reality and there can be no other. This could be the downfall of the human race. As the helixes come into full force in a person, there is an awakening of the person's inner knowledge, knowledge that goes beyond what the person has been taught. This inner knowledge is a knowledge of self, knowledge that says there is much more than this physical world. Believe it, know it, understand it. The physical world is a clue to the spiritual world. The world of spirit and self-evolution is on the verge of an information explosion. Cheap energy, free energy, everything will be given to you. All of this is related to the evolving light-encoded filaments, which are millions and billions of tiny little fibers. As we related the story to you, the radiant creator gods who came in and took over needed to have you operate in a certain way in order to control you. They needed to unplug your intelligence, and so they did, by scattering and disconnecting the light encoded filaments that form the helixes in your DNA. These filaments are now beginning to reconnect into helixes. The helixes will evolve in sets of 3 until there are 12 strands or helixes. When these 12 helixes or strands of many light encoded filaments begin to vibrate within the body, each of the strands will correspond to a chakra center. There are, there are multitudes of chakra centers, and there are multitudes of potential helixes that can form. Right now, the common denominator with respect to the number of helixes and chakras that the conscious of humanity can handle without destroying itself is 12. So we are dealing right now with an involvement of 12 helixes to plug into the 12 chakras, as mentioned before, 7 chakras in the body and 5 chakras outside the body. The 7 chakras in the body are not too difficult to work with because if you allow yourself to feel, you can physically touch and locate all of them. The first 3 are the chakras of survival, sexuality, and perceptual feeling. The 4th chakra is the heart, center of compassion and connectedness to all things. The 5th is the throat chakra, which relates to speaking. The 6th is the third eye, the vision. The 7th is the crown chakra, which opens to the knowing. That one's identity goes beyond the physical form. When you get to the 5 outside the body, you must begin to find new ways to figure out what is going on with something that you don't even know for sure is real. The 8th chakra is within your realm of activity. It hovers 12 inches or more above your head. Most people keep the 8th chakra center close to their physical body. The 9th chakra is close as well, within a few feet of the body. Once 9 helixes are formed, this chakra will move out into the atmosphere of Earth to become more of an Earth chakra, connecting it to the grid work. It is a link. The 10th, 11th, and 12th chakras are much further out. The 10th chakra, once it is in line and plugged in, will be in your solar system. The 11th chakra will move out into your galactic system, and the 12th will be located and anchored someplace in this universe. You will receive information from these personal centers, for they are collective centers as well, just as your other personal chakra centers are collective centers. As you learn to translate the chakras experiences, you will discover that life is not the same anymore. Not all people on the planet are going through these changes right now because you are not all coded to respond at this particular time. Each of you came in with a certain order, a map of when and where and how you best operate. Many of you are learning how to follow this plan of the self that will lead you to discover your exalted self. Once you learn how to do this, life will become quite effortless because you will become a vehicle for light and you will be moved just by your intention to commit. Different humans will be exposed to these changes at different times because it would not do to have them occur all at once. This would create chaos where a certain order is needed. As an individual goes through the changes and translates the experience, they can turn to someone to assist them who has already gone through the changes. For those of you who are the beginning people, the process can be very difficult. You are the way showers. Once you are able to go through the changes, you can make the path and show others. There are roadmaps that indicate certain events that can occur if you wish to plug into those grid works of time. The greater commitment you have in every moment to your own evolution, the sooner the changes will occur for the last person. There was a time when the human species occupied higher dimensional frequencies, and you had the ability to move through realities and manipulate matter. Many of these abilities were purposefully scattered by those beings who are in charge of your reality. You must understand that every reality has its guardians, and that there are different stewardships and guardians at different times. We are using the term guardian in a neutral fashion. You use the term guardian for someone who is protective. We will say that a guardian is in charge of reality and that perhaps they guard it from others. They don't let others come in and change their reality. Guardians, as we are referring to them, are not necessarily benevolent, uplifting entities. The entities who are guarding your reality could be keeping out those entities who would set you free. You have forgotten so much because you were retooled, and many of your inherent abilities were scattered and unplugged so that they would not work. Control came down over minds in your society. There are veils of protection that were put around Earth because if you were to attempt to plug into some of the information, you would not have the tools or the background or the ability to make sense of these realities. Now the whole planet is immersed in expanding realities. In order to go into these other realities, you will first need to explore very deeply your own reality. There is no time to have 20 years of psychoanalysis. You will have to develop skills and ability within a few hours that will allow you to travel a few decades in your own emotional evolution. You are going to have to travel the emotional highway because the human body expresses itself through the emotions. That is the uniqueness and the gift of your species. First, you will need to open the emotional highways to areas that you have hidden from yourself in this particular lifetime. Memories may flood in as this data is lined up inside of you. Memories about events that were difficult for you at the time, or perhaps that you did not have context for. Some of you may uncover the events of extraterrestrial contact that all of you had when you were children. Some of you may uncover expressions of sexuality that you did not understand at the time that you were involved in them, whether you were a passive or an active participant. Such things have been buried by the human emotional body because it's very sensitive to judgment, and the mental body passes tremendous judgment. The emotional body linked to the spiritual body hides from this. You all think that you know who you are. You have stories of who you are based upon what you remember of growing up in this lifetime. What we want to communicate to you is that you have a number of parallel, legitimate existences that have different memories than you have. You stopped these memories or didn't focus on the related events because your emotional body could not compute them. Much of what you will tap into is tied to sexuality because it is a part of yourself that you have not understood and that you must go into in order to understand its purpose. What is it all about? Who made these rules about appropriate and inappropriate expression? Also, coming up for you will be the realization of the contacts and energy that were continuously around many of you when you were younger to teach you. You blocked out these events because you were not given the support to believe that they truly occurred. As you begin this multidimensional exploration, the memories that you have hidden from yourself will come forward. You will be astounded that you could have completely forgotten whole events and large chunks of your life, especially events that occurred when you were under 12 years old. You will be amazed when you explore the ability of the nervous system to shut down the flow of data that the mind cannot compute. And yet the records are there, so you will replay them. You now will have the ability to compute many of these things because you will learn to be neutral and not to judge what you have participated in. As you explore your current body, identity, and lifetime, do it quickly. You do not have years to study them. As the information in your DNA is retooled and replugged in, you will be able to feel how the events from this life connect and blossom and have a thread of purpose with many different places that you have lived and many different identities that you have occupied. Ideally, you will move out of judgment, and because of that, you will be able to pick up the story of what really happened here, which you will experience firsthand through cellular memory. The only way that you can step into this higher frequency and determine the future of your lives on this planet is to not judge your participation within this process. This is very complex and very important. Feel what we just said. This process involves smashing the existing paradigm and becoming a heretic of reality. You will begin to understand that a legitimate, real existence has simply been hidden from you. It is imperative that you begin to remember who you are. You are not alone. You could not do this alone. Even when we say to you that you are the standard bearers of your soul, there are other aspects of yourself that have figured the story out and are coming back into your time period to create this vortex of energy that is going to affect all realities. We cannot emphasize enough the importance of these times and the excitement and joy of what they hold, as long as you are willing to change. If you are not willing to change and not willing to give things up, you will have to go through experiences that will be less than joyful. All of you will have certain things that you may not want to give up. That may be the difficulty for each of you has your area of clutching and clinging. And yet, each of you came to do something here so that you could get on with your travels and with what your soul is craving to experience. It is as if you have unfinished business here. The veil for many of you was pulled down very tightly so that you would not fly away and say, "What am I doing here again? I'm out of here." Those of you who understand the higher realms have many times felt very alone here upon this planet. There are millions like you here at this time, forming a tremendous support group. You are beginning to meet and find one another, and you are beginning to thread your consciousness, one fine silk strand with another strand and another of consciousness. You will see a most beautiful creation come together without great effort because it's part of a plan and you are moved to do certain things. The whole planet has been controlled in such a way that you have been taught and trained from the time you first arrived here that you are not in control of your own reality. You have been taught that everything is circumstantial and that everything depends on something that you have no say in. This is wrong. You are the one who controls your DNA. You have complete control over everything. Until you discover that and believe it, you are subjected to whatever anyone else wishes to do to you in this free will zone. And in your innocence, you have been exposed to things that have allowed your DNA, your intelligence, and many other things to be controlled.
Welcome to Crystal Cove and Mystic Charms, where magic meets the mundane and the extraordinary becomes everyday. Are you ready to gift yourself with the whispers of ancient power stones? To the feel and hear the echoes of our ancient past? Dive into a world where each pendant tells a story, where rare stones hold secrets known only to the universe itself. At Crystal Cove, our collection isn't just jewelry. It's a gateway to a realm of mysticism and wonder. Let the shimmering opal guide you through twilight dreams, or embrace the fiery energy of the sun with our exquisite amber pendants. Each piece, handcrafted by the hands of a true mystic who understand the language of the earth and the fire of one's heart. At Crystal Cove and Mystic Charms, we believe that every soul deserves to sparkle. Whether you seek solace in the calming embrace of amethyst or wish to dance with the vibrant hues of turquoise, our collection holds the key to unlocking your inner magic if you allow it to be so. Visit us today and discover the pendant that speaks to your soul. Crystal Cove and Mystic Charms, where the beauty of our amazing earthy realm meets the magic of the cosmos.
Hey there, Hunter. Go check out our friends at Colorado Custom Game Calls. They are all about creating a high-quality, custom, unique game calls at an affordable price. They are here for hunters that can't and won't pay upwards of $180 to $200 per game call. They pride themselves on giving their customers the opportunity to not only purchase an affordable and high-quality call, but to customize their game call to their liking. So listen up and go check them out. That's www.coloradocustomgamecalls.com. They got calls for all type of game, and all the game calls can be custom made to your own likeness. That's www.coloradocustomgamecalls.com. Tell them Matthew sent you from the Matrix Minds.
What is up, all my beautiful and gorgeous souls? I am Michelle Espinosa, otherwise known as the Shaman, through the Matrix Mind Media. So tell me, how many times have you wished that you had that special power of prediction? You know, to know what was going to happen before it actually happened and took place. To have some power and control over that situation before things came flying at you out of left field. The thing is, you actually can have that power. You can be aware of what's coming. Tune in to Astrology TV with me for Breaking the Cage every Sunday evening at 10 p.m. Eastern on the Matrix Mind Media. And I will go through the astrology and help put you on the right course and get you back in control of your own life. Love you guys.
This CBD fluid is a whole flower fluid extracted from the cannabis flower. We don't use any heat, butane, or chemicals when we extract, so we get all of the components of the plant. All the CBD, CBG, CBA, all the terpenes, all the flavonoids. This allows our body to absorb at 60 to 90% rather than the average of 6 to 10% absorption you would get with a CBD oil. Because our bodies are made up of mostly water and this is a fluid, it's highly absorbable so that you're getting 500% more nutraceuticals per dose. We also have this available in our CBD spray as well as a muscle rub with all kinds of botanicals. You're going to absolutely love it.
Check it out, Brainiacs. MatrixMinds.live/CBD. CBD I use. Feel free again. Feel alive again.
Hello and welcome back to Just a Moment. Again, my name is Kristen Harding and I am reading today from The Bringers of the Dawn by Barbara Marciniak, and it's Teachings of the Pleiadians. And we're already on chapter 6. And it's called Unlocking the History. DNA carries the coding for this genetic material, and helixes are made up of light-encoded filaments, tiny gossamer threads that carry information to the way that fiber optic systems do. The pillar of light that you use to activate yourself and to bring information into your body is also composed of light-encoded filaments. These light-encoded filaments carry a vast amount of data and information, and your body is filled with them. When bundled together and placed in certain alignment, the light-encoded filaments work together and release information that makes sense of the history they carry. The light-encoded filaments inside your body are similar to a grand library, a library that is so gigantic it carries the history of your universe. During the course of the Earth's history, there have been many different species who have lived here. You have convinced yourself that humanity is native to this planet. Human beings were put here. People are in for a shock because they are going to discover very shortly the skeletal forms of very different creatures. Some of these have already been discovered, particularly in South America, though they have been either written up in your tabloid newspapers and passed off as a hoax or fearfully kept in secret. When the consciousness of humanity is raised to the frequency of receptivity, the nervous system of the mass psyche is balanced to the point that you can have a paradigm shift. Earth itself will reveal its secrets. Through a variety of means such as weather patterns, earth changes, psychic discoveries, and so on, you will unearth a whole new history. The task you have before you is to consciously command, intend, and will the evolvement of your DNA. Commanding and willing and asking for this is not easy, for you must move through many identities. From the historical perspective of your multidimensional existence or essence of your soul, you have been all kinds of characters, and some of these experiences have been painful. They have been challenging and difficult. It is time for you to move through the challenges and unlock the history that is inside of your body by allowing the light-encoded filaments to rebundle, forming new helixes, and by allowing yourself to be receptive to what this new information in the DNA is going to plug it into you. It will not always make sense to your logical mind. You will learn that your logical mind has a place, a function, and a purpose, but that is not your identity. The logical mind is overused by many people. It is overtaxed and abused, and when you overuse and abuse the logical mind, you create stress upon your body. You do not always need to understand logically what you are experiencing. Watch yourself, maintain humor at all times, and maintain the idea that you are evolving. You will be going through many things because you are climbing the ladder of identity made up of your chakra system. The chakras are energy information centers that are keyed into lifetimes in which you activated or expressed yourself in one area or another. It is imperative for you to discover your identity in these next few years. The light-encoded filaments are a tool of light, a part of light, and an expression of light. The light-encoded filaments exist as millions of fine thread-like fibers inside your cells, while counterpart light-encoded filaments exist outside of your body. The light-encoded filaments carry the language of light, geometry, which carries the stories of who you are. These light-encoded filaments were not previously able to come onto this planet because there was pollution created by the dark team that kept them out. The light-encoded filaments are like rays of light that hold a geometric form of language. They come to you from a cosmic database and hold information. Many of you are at the point where you don't need to have a healing done on your body. You need to have a spontaneous education or implant put into your body to teach you. This is what you will be coming during the next number of years. Some of the people on this planet, particularly those working with crystals, will learn to fill and activate other bodies with these filaments. Individuals seeking this experience will have the filaments activated in their bodies to give them instant information and instant knowing. This is what education is evolving into. There will be beings who will assist you with all of this. You are going to have to be able to recognize these beings and to recognize other realities as they exist around you. When the information in the light-encoded filaments was scattered, there was no burning of the libraries. It was simply that all of the books were torn off the shelves and left in the center of the room. Imagine if you walked into a room the size of a gigantic stadium, and all of the books or information that had ever been filled in it was pulled off the shelves and left in the middle of the floor. How could you find anything except by chance? Since humans don't believe in the order of chance, they have never followed the order that is within them. The information in the filaments was left inside of you, yet there was no logical way to make sense of it. So in the present time, how do you find the information? The information is going to reveal itself to you. That is the process. You don't have to go looking for it, because this revelation is your heritage and who you are. As the DNA begins to form new strands, these new strands will travel along a nervous system in the body that is being developed at this time, and the memories will come flooding into your consciousness. You must work to develop this nervous system, to pull light into your body, to oxygenate your system, to learn how to move through energy accelerations, and to call more ideas and experiences into your body. As this process begins to grow and nurture itself in your body, simply observe it, for you will want to know how to access it. Getting stuck in your dramas is like reading one of your books over and over again and not letting all of the information in other books come together. There is more. There is a whole story. This whole story has to do with your entire soul. As members of the family of light, you are agreeing to hold your physical bodies a conscious awareness of all of your existences. You are agreeing to accept what you have done and the parts you have played in all of these existences, and then to raid different realities and change them according to the dictates of your agreement as a representative of the family of light. You have free will within this agreement, of course. The triple helix brings you into the feeling center. The feeling center is emotion, and emotion is your road or bridge or ticket to the spiritual self. When people deny the emotional self, they can't get into the spiritual realms. The Christ had once said, "Know thyself." Know thyselves. It's the same thing. That message was given on the planet a long time ago, but it was distorted so that people could not understand how grand indeed they were, and that all they had to do was rearrange themselves. The work is always internal. When you want to know how to go about bringing a change upon the planet, we always tell you to work within yourself, develop yourself, move beyond the boundaries of self, learn to become multidimensional, to exist in the astral world, and to travel beyond the physical body. Stop defining the body as ending here, which is what society encourages you to do so that you can be controlled. In a free will zone, control is part of the game because someone wants to be in charge. You are members of the family of light. To what hierarchy and to what gods do you answer? DNA is a living history of truth and life. When one is able to merge with history, one is able to go into realities without videos, tapes, or books. One is able to experience. Many native cultures were trained to find the remnants of the living library left upon this planet. That explains their reverence for Earth and the animals and their understanding of the cooperation that runs through everything. These native cultures were purposefully put upon the planet so that there would be a training ground and a place of potential memory activation when the time was right. DNA holds the code. It holds the blueprint of identity, the plan for existence, the history of the universe, and the history of life in this particular locale. And it's stored within the cells of humans. The original DNA of the stewards of this planet, the human occupants, had genetic blueprint system that was based on the number 12. The 12 strands of genetic material are therefore connected to many other representatives or informational sources that are also number 12. Remember, reality mirrors reality. The 12th strand of information hooked the human occupant up with corresponding information centers in and out of the body. Earth is now entering a conjunction or a lineup with the purpose through which the original planners are returning to reactivate the 12 helix system in the occupying species, the human to date, and put Earth back on its track. When the biological library was conceived of eons and eons ago, it was decided that the stewards of the planet would hold the key to unlocking the data that was stored in this living library. How does this tie in with the 12 information centers? When human chakra systems are connected, open, and activated, information starts to seek its own expression and become available. There are certain things that will code or trigger this information, bringing it to the forefront of existence to get it to begin to express itself. When you are hooked into the information centers, 7 in your body and 5 outside your body, you are ready to receive energy through another set of 12 information centers. When you activate your own 12 chakras, you hook into energy stored in parallel sets of 12 centers that will further activate your process. This will eventually bring the brain into its complete, full, computer-like function. The 12 parallel realities hold ways to unlock information that has been secreted away. There are many steps to unlocking this information. You could compare this to government deep security, which uses different levels of fingerprints and imprints to access the final bit of information. There are many different ways things must be connected if something very secret is stored away. The activation of the 12 strands of DNA coincides with the activation, spinning, movement, and opening of the 12 centers of information. The 12 chakras are etheric energy disks. This is the beginning of the connection of the spinning of the 12. When this alignment of energy takes place, it brings in and pulls energy into the 12 heavenly bodies in your solar system. These bodies then begin to feed energy back to Earth. They activate themselves by releasing what they hold so that Earth can biogenetically come alive. There are more and more of these groups of 12. The 12 universes spinning, for an example. Through the spinning of the 12 centers, there will be a chaos of new consciousness. Because when these 12 energy centers, particularly the outer 5, begin to hook themselves back up with the planet, there will be an incredible flood of new energy. The formation of the 12 helixes will not mean that you will become completely informed as a species. It means that in order to catapult the species of humans forward into a higher consciousness, there is a maximum and a minimum mutation that needs to take place to create a new standard of operation. This mutation will bring in a new frequency level that each person will become affected by in their own way. The process could be compared to a new sun being born in your atmosphere. These 12 helixes certainly do not comprise all of the information inside of the light-encoded filaments. However, the forming of the 12 helixes will be plenty to give you, as a species, a much bigger picture of who you are. As members of the family of light, you know who you are. It is the humans who don't know who they are. Since you are in disguise as humans, however, sometimes you trick yourselves into thinking that you don't know who you are either. You know from the eternal portion of your being that you are a member of the family of light. We call the earth the living library because you all have an image of what a library is. It is a place where information is stored and available. We use this analogy because we intend to evoke the image that everywhere you go, you are in a library. You just haven't figured out yet how to translate the information or recognize where it is in the library. This is the image that we would like everyone to begin to have. It will create a greater loving for Earth and a greater realization that there is something for everyone to relate to in this place. No one need ever be alone when they find out that there is intelligent life willing to communicate with human beings. Once there is a formulation of the 12 helixes, which can hook one up to the 12 information centers, the library will be activated. Humans were designed to be the key to access this information in the living library. There are many stories that we can go into about this. Millions of years ago, all life coexisted on this planet, particularly during the dinosaur period, when these large beasts operated as guardians of the planet and certain energies were building to store data here. For many millions of years, this occurred. Right now, 12 is the system that connects, and if you look around, you will see it everywhere. It was a symbolic insertion for a reason, so that you would someday figure out that it connects you to somewhere, something, somewhere else. It is not your natural rhythm, but it is a group agreement to use this energy of 12 in many different systems of reality. It is a coded formula. Many things that make no sense to the logical mind make a tremendous amount of sense to the light encoded filaments and to the body as it becomes more sensitive. There are those who would say that this is a very inefficient system and that it is not a natural flow. But this system of 12 is the flow that this planet was adjusted to. In actuality, if you look, you are a system of 13. How many times a year does the moon come full? 13. The system of 13 will come. You will open to it soon because you will move past time. The energy of 13 moves beyond logic and beyond the force system. Now, as we have indicated, the family of light has come onto the planet to receive energy from the original planners. This energy will create a genetic alteration and reactivate and rebundle the light-encoded filaments. The filaments will make up the 12 helix system that can move the body into activation. This will make human beings very valuable because they will then be ready to be used to access the data that is stored in the earth. What is this data that is so important? It is disguised in insects and flowers and pigs and donkey tails and rabbit ears and all kinds of things, and it is for you to discover. We want to emphasize that when the data was stored in the 12 libraries, it was stored in many different layers. When you came into the libraries, there were different codes of clearance. In other words, there are many different ways of entering into the libraries. You could not just walk in and say, I have free clearance to receive all of this information. Just as there is now security clearance within your government, so the libraries holding this information had security systems. There was reason to build the libraries in the first place, for the pulsation of tyranny was beating at the time. There was concern on the part of certain energies, the keepers of time, that information might get into the wrong hands. So, very playfully, libraries were disguised in many different modes. The other libraries or worlds are not at all like your world. The task for the keepers of time was to engineer a project through which consciousness could evolve, have information, and be utilized to access information. Originally, the role of the human occupant as the way shower to the library was one of great honor. Without the human occupant, one could not access the library, and the more tuned into the human occupant was, the more one could access the library. The human occupant had a certain pride in being loose enough and connected enough to find the data in all things. If humans were the library cards, then some were better library cards than others. There was training that went into being the library card, and when beings came who wanted to find information on the planet, they would merge with the human occupant who was coded to respond to certain codes. If someone had a low code, they might only see a certain amount of something. Each one came with the purpose of accessing specific information. Information was not withheld from someone because it was secretive, but because the information was not electromagnetically suited to their biological structure. Data must be data must be able to penetrate the belief system of an individual, otherwise the individual could blow up if they are overwhelmed with energy that is not strongly tempered with love. When something is strongly tempered with love, it prevents the individual from blowing apart and keeps them focused on receiving a very enlarged concept. This is how large concepts are transduced on this planet. They ride the love frequency. Light frequency cannot carry large concepts because it's not connected with emotion. Love frequency is connected with emotion. When an individual is creating an expanded concept of themselves, there must be a love that gives the individual purpose. Without love, the individual does not feel that there is a purpose, and the individual must always feel connected with purpose to understand how vast things are. You are going to discover someday that sex is a part of the process. When you own your own sexuality, you will see the opportunities that you will have to express it, and you will decide whether or not you want to express it in those ways or not. And as you become accessible and others utilize you to discover the library, you may have very interesting encounters as the years evolve. If you go back and study the scriptures and the ancient manuscripts, you will understand that the gods came down and intermingled with the daughters of human beings. Sexuality has been used to spark the library card. There is something very dangerous in this, however, because it has been misused. That is why it is very important to own your own sexuality and be very certain whom you share it with. We don't want any of you to be in a position to be bought or enticed. You are advised to look and see if you experience others as being honest and having integrity, or whether they are flattering you. You are becoming stewards for power. There are traditionalists who feel that we are making entirely too much information available without supervision. We say that Earth is headed for a major collision, so no holds barred. We are flooding the planet, as are many others, with opportunities to remember. So as you begin to amass this knowledge and these abilities, there will be others attracted to you for their own reasons because of what they can access through you. When you are with someone, it is like opening an avenue to other libraries. It has to do with many, many things. Part of what we want all of you to do is to love and honor your bodies, love yourselves, and make certain that if you are going to be intimate with someone, that the person really loves you. It doesn't mean that you're going to marry them, but there has to be love so that you know who you are bonding with. In this way, the discoveries that you make move between the two of you. We are not so much warning you as we are informing you, because you will see things happen to others who are not careful of their power. In other words, intimacy is not something to fool around with. It is a way to open many avenues. If one does not approach it carefully, one can attract energies even without having a partner. If one is using intimacy to activate information, one could invite the wrong energies in. So be aware of the frequency of sexuality because it brings up the emotions, and the emotions are the key to accessing the data that is stored in the living library. Thank you guys so much. We are on the end of chapter 6, I think. Yep. So next time I do not have a guest, we'll be starting again on chapter 7. Hello, Christopher. I'm so sorry I missed some of that. What does that mean, walking barefoot through your mind? Wow, I think that would mean without reservations and constraints, not having to wear shoes, that sort of thing. And Gregory Andley says, I walk barefoot through my mind. I like that. I think that's beautiful. Christopher says, the Merkaba holds clockwise and counterclockwise motions, left for intellect, right for emotion. Both must exist for balance of the reality bubble within and without. You are such a sage, Christopher. Thank you for that. Let's see, what else did I miss? 12-strand DNA is just the regular 2-strand shaped across multiple densities and dimensions in fractal form. The 24th chromosome pair encodes this, and the Merkaba as the vehicle the soul rides in. Yeah, I agree. Every singularity tunnel is a part of the living library with the mycelium network calibrating and anchoring into the earth itself. And that's the anchor of the crystalline grid, Gaia grid, and ancestral grid. Very cool. Hello, Morgan. Wow. There were so many more comments here than I thought there were. I apologize for not getting back to you directly, but I hope I got everybody. And thank you so much for listening to the message from the Pleiadians. If you haven't voted yet, please go out and do so. It's very important this year. So that is all for now, my friends. Thank you so much for joining us. Never forget that you are amazing. You are loved. Be well. Be safe out there. And I'll see you on the next show. Bye.